So we are with Professor Searle, who is a professor at Berkeley, and is going to give a speech about social objects on Sunday morning in Modena. And so the first question is somewhat unavoidably, what social objects are?
Yeah. Well, a social object is any object that is defined by society, but the class of social objects that interests me are those that only exist because we think collectively, socially, that they exist. And there I'm thinking of such things as money and private property, universities, summer vacations, professions, cocktail parties, marriages. So those are a very special class of social objects, namely objects that only can exist as such because they're accepted by society. They have social acceptance.
Another thing which defines society is, of course, language, because people talk to each other. What would you say language is exactly?
Well, okay, that's a very hard question to say what is language. The simplest way to say it is language is any system of representation by which animals or people can communicate from one to the other. However, what is special about human language as far as this discussion is concerned, human languages, unlike other languages, have a capacity not only to represent things in the world, or represent what we'd like to do about things in the world, but also to create things in the world. So the class of social objects that I was describing, that is such things as money and private property and governments, all of those are created by language, and they're maintained in their existence by language. So language is itself a social object, but it's different from other social objects because language is essential for the creation of other social objects, but language is not itself created by language. Language evolves out of pre-linguistic forms of human capacities.
And even to a profane eyes, language is somewhat what distinguishes man from animal. But still, it seems also means to distinguish among human beings, because some have the possibility to use certain words which other people don't know and can't use.
Yes.
What would you say about that?
All right. Depending on how we define language, other species can have simpler languages than we do, but still have language. So if we define language as any system of representation used for communication, then there are languages of other species. The bees famously have a language, and there are signaling systems among all sorts of other animals, and we don't really know in detail how these work or how far they go. However, human language is special. Human language is much more powerful than any system of animal communication known to me. First of all, its expressive power is much greater than the bee language or the language by which dolphins communicate. It's much greater than any signaling system. But secondly, from the point of view of this discussion, it is unique in that human language, as far as I know, is the only a system of communication that can used to be create social facts. So the fact that I am a professor, the fact that Barack Obama is president, the fact that this piece of paper is money, the fact that there is a country which is the United States, all of those are created by language, and animals don't have that capacity to create a social reality by language. Now, the last part of your question asked about distinctions among human beings, and I think it is a crucial distinction among human beings that much of what we think, not all of what we think, but much of what we think as education is a matter of increasing the expressive power of the student, both to create and to understand texts and speeches and other verbal forms. And Americans often think, well, they're just words don't really matter. No, words make an enormous difference. And they make an enormous difference for reasons I was suggesting earlier. It's not only that you have greater representational capacities if you have language, but you have greater creative capacities. You can create all sorts of phenomena with language that you cannot create without language.
You quickly mentioned money, and unfortunately, in this time of history, we hear about money every day at the TV and the newspaper. And so, what I would like to ask you is, we always talk about money, but what is Without money, what is money?
Okay, a money is essentially an idea, and it's a certain type of idea by which you can create a means for people to represent value, to a medium of exchanging value, and a means of storing value. Now, the means itself can be completely abstract. It need have no physical existence at all. You need a system of representing how much money each unit has, each person, each company, each society, each country. And then you have a mechanism for exchanging objects for money, or exchanging money for other money. That is, you convert one representation of money into another representation. But the whole system is an immensely powerful system, but it's entirely abstract. We think of money as essentially currency or gold coins, but that's not it. No, most money now in the world today has no physical existence. There are representations of money on computer disks in banks, and the money represented is enormously powerful because of the reasons I gave you. It's a store of value, a medium of exchange, a measure of value. But the money itself need have no physical existence.
So thank you very much for that. This is your first time at the Festivalfilosofia, and of course we're honored about that, and we wish to have you next time.
Well, thank you.
More.
Thank
Okay,
you
so
very
thanks
much for
that.
inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you.